everyone. I'm Julie Ireland, and I'm a GTD coach. And I want to discuss some kind of practical strategies that we can use in service to minimizing any anxiety we might be experiencing as we engage with our action lists. And I'm going to start with like a little disclaimer, which is that this is probably for most people watching this not in any shape or form revelatory. So nothing really new here. And yet, as I was preparing for this, it was like a really good reminder. Like sometimes I think it's helpful to come back to some basic kind of road tested best practices that, maybe I might have either forgotten or gone a little numb to, or start moving too fast and, kind of lose sight of. So, in no order of importance here, the first one, which is going to be the most obvious one, which is making sure our action lists have clearly defined, granularly defined actions on them. I know we've all heard this like, I don't know, a gajillion times. And at the same time, I still catch myself, I'll clarify and organize. I'm really fast, all of a sudden, my lists are full of stuff that may need more tweaking or fine tuning. And, when I look at them, then there's still more thinking to do, which tends to cause a little stress with it. So I'm just reminding myself, and for anyone who this is helpful to, it's like, what really is the next action? Those lists are really defined granularly enough. Next is keeping the lists at kind of a manageable number or volume. And when I say that, I mean like action items per list. And, that number is going to really be, a personal preference for everyone. I know for myself, over the years, I've really found that 30 actions per list is a really good cap for me. There's something that happens, like, for example, my computer list. All of a sudden, it's like it went from 28 to 29 to 30. Now it's like crossed that line into 31. And something happens where, it's too much. The volume is too much to prioritize and review in one sitting. So for some people, that number might be way higher. And for some people, it might be lower. So it's sort of being like honest with ourselves about what that kind of capacity threshold is and doing our best to honor it. Next is, once again, something we've all heard before, which is being mindful about due dates. I always say, if you want to generate anxiety from lists, if you're using a digital list manager, just assign everything a due date and like watch it all cascade into red, which is typically what happens with software. So we assign a due date. The minute we go past it, there's some red alert to it. And then all of a sudden, like there's all this red staring at us. So, best practice is using due dates, judiciously. If there is a due date for something, I certainly want to have that information available. And at the same time, I also understand that sometimes I'd like to buy, I really, really prefer to buy, it's not a hard due date, but it just practically makes sense. Like there might be a few things that I really want to get done before I go on vacation. So I don't have to like have the pressure on that when I come back. So as long as we're being conscious and intentional and mindful, and we're not just like throwing due dates out into the wind and like running the risk of real due dates getting lost in the arbitrarily assigned ones, I think we'll be in good shape. So next is review cadence. So, many people are sort of under this misconception that I only need to look at my lists as part of my weekly review. Not enough, right? Ideally, we're reviewing our action list as often as we're reviewing our calendar, which for most of us is daily. The more we review, the more trust we have in our trusted system. So, that's really just being mindful, reviewing those lists as often as we need to really stay connected to them so they're not kind of out of sight, out of mind. finally, this is like by no means, the be all end all here, but in terms of this particular video, the last one I'm going to talk about is someday maybe, and really having a good relationship to someday maybe. So, we have our active list, which are things we're absolutely committing to doing. Then we have our someday list, which are great things, valuable, interesting, important, but not making any commitment. And then sometimes people need kind of a way station in the middle called on hold. There might be things that I've defined granularly, I'm absolutely committed to doing them, and I can't do them yet. So, for example, here are a few things that I absolutely need to do, but I need to wait until that new person is on board. Or, here's the set of things I have to do, but I can't do them until the budget is passed. Or, I can't do it until after that event is over. So giving ourselves permission to put things on hold. I don't want to be looking at them every day because I can't do them yet. And at the same time, they're not someday maybe either. So, using that as a strategy when we need it. So as always, I hope this helps. Once again, this is just a little drop in the bucket of the strategies that we can use. And I hope this helps. And thanks again for watching.
For more GTD resources, please visit gettingthingsdone.com and David Allen's YouTube channel. For more information, please email us at info@gtdfocus.com or visit our website, gtdfocus.com/contact.